on. Welcome. Wonderful, wonderful guests. And we're very excited. We're going to give you a very special one-off inside making Lightyear. So you're going to see the people who have brought this to life. And I'm so excited to welcome them to the stage. We have the wonderful, talented Keke Palmer. We have the equally talented, wonderful Galyn Susman. We have our very own dear, long-term friend and true space scientist, Dr. Maggie Aderin-Pocock. What more could you ask for, right? What more could you ask for? So, welcome. This is our panel event. This is the UK premiere of Disney and Pixar's Lightyear. And this is a one-off, very special panel brought to you with great pride from the female lead.
Yes, thanks to you.
Oh, thank you. We have, as you can see, a wonderful live audience here at Leicester Square, and we have many more tuning in online. So, my name is Edwina Dunn. I am the founder and proud leader of the Female Lead, which is a campaign that empowers women to take the lead at every age and every stage for women. We love to share women's stories and to highlight their achievements, especially in careers where women have historically been underrepresented, like movie production, space, and STEM. And that's what tonight is all about. I'm truly honoured to be joined here today by some incredible talent from Lightyear. As I say, the wonderful Keke Palmer, who plays Izzy Hawthorne, and so convincingly and brilliantly and equally, you'll see it in just a moment, and Galyn Susman, who's the producer of Lightyear. And as I've already mentioned, Maggie, well, she just does her science and magic every day. Absolutely every day. All three women will be sharing their experiences of breaking through to infinity.
And beyond.
I had to fit that in. Okay, so let's start. We have a few questions. I'm going to ask my questions first, but you have the chance to ask a question or two right towards the end. So you keep those thoughts as we go through, and if you're, if we have enough time, we're going to come to you and you can ask your question. Okay. We have some scientists in the room, I'm just warning you. Okay, so our female lead audience absolutely loves you guys. They love your openness and your willingness to be here and share your story today. Keke, let's talk first about Lightyear. What was it like to step into that world and be part of such an iconic series?
Oh my gosh, it was just the coolest thing ever. You know, I grew up with Toy Story. I don't even remember watching it for the first time because I was like 2 when it came out. But I remember it always being a part of my life. And I always loved Buzz and Woody. And so when I found out that they were recreating or reinventing the IP in this really interesting way where, actually we get the opportunity to be Andy. We get to watch the movie that made him fall in love with Buzz, the action figure. And I just thought, wow, what a fresh but yet still nostalgic way to bring it back. And I was excited to get to play Izzy.
Brilliant. Galyn, you've worked on many films, including the ones we love so much, Finding Nemo, Rat. Who ever loved a rat? You made us love a rat. And of course, Toy Story 4. So,
all of them.
All of them. Oh my God.
Incredible.
So, absolutely incredible. So for the young women out there hoping to work in film, can you tell us how you broke into this male-dominated industry?
Sure. I started out in something that's even more male-dominated, which is STEM. Really, I know. I came in as what was called a generalist. I was a technical person doing modeling and shading and lighting, simulation effects, writing code.
That is so
doing math.
cool.
And look where it leads.
And look what happened.
Females writing code, it just gives me chills.
And then it was actually Ratatouille is when I switched over to producing. So the bottom line is there are so many different ways to engage in a career in film. You don't necessarily have to be able to draw. You don't necessarily have to be able to act. There are every possible imaginable talent can be utilized in some way. So if you're passionate about filmmaking and you're passionate about science, you can do that.
It makes me so excited to hear you say that, because I think a lot of times with entertainment, people only think about the people in front of the camera. But to be honest, that's kind of the most boring aspect of filmmaking. I hate to say it because I'm one of those people. But you know, when you think about producers, or even if you think about the person that makes snacks, that's a job. You know, that's called crafty. Or if you like building things and putting together things, you can be a key grip or a gaffer. Like there's so many different ways that you can shine and be a part of a team. And that's what I love about filmmaking.
Absolutely, it's the best part.
Well, if we needed advertisements for STEM and going into STEM, you just laid it out. Well done, well done. So, Maggie, we're here to watch a film all about space and breaking frontiers, which is something you've done. And you're one of the few high-profile female scientists out there. How did you do that?
Thank you. So, well, for me, I think it's all about having a crazy dream. And my crazy dream, and it's embarrassing, I say this, most sophisticated people grow out of their childhood dreams, but I still have mine. That's why I'm jealous. I want to get out into space.
Yes.
All my life I've wanted to do that. I was inspired by sort of the moon landings. I watched, the clangers and other cartoons. I thought, yes, that's what I want to do. But sort of growing up, sort of a black dyslexic kid, sort of 13 different schools, it didn't look likely. But by having that crazy dream, it drives you on. You fall over in the mud and think, oh, that was horrible. Okay, let's go this way. And so I think that's what each kid needs, a crazy dream to inspire them, to drive them on. And it's worked for me. And I think I may never get into space. I'm hoping, but I may never get into space. But just by having the crazy dream, it means you overcome hurdles. You find ways around the obstacles. So I think that's what I want to inspire every kid to have.
That's the real life Izzy Hawthorne.
It is, isn't it? It is. It's how she would say it. And Maggie, you must have inspired so many young people, and it's a tribute to the career that you've held and led. And, you know, I love you for what you've done. I really do. It's special.
I do. I think I'm lucky because over the last 14 years, I think I've seen about 350,000 kids just going out to schools and speaking to them. And yeah, it's knackering, but it's wonderful because you get to speak to your 4-year-old and say, okay, what's it like to go out there into space? And they, oh, I don't know. And just seeing that look in the eye and sort of, and you know that you've inspired something in them. And every so often I meet a child who said, oh yes, you came to my school and now I'm studying physics. And I think, oh my goodness, are you enjoying it? And I say, oh yeah, it's great. Oh, phew.
Thank goodness. And my daughter's here, and she studied physics.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm very proud.
Hello out there.
Yeah, and congratulations.
Oh, brilliant. Galyn, let me turn to you. There's a wonderful story about you who, when you saved Toy Story 2, you were on maternity leave, so you were multitasking, right? And we've heard this story. Please tell us what happened. What did you do?
So I'd actually gone back to work way too soon. I wish I had still been on maternity leave, but back then that wasn't such a popular thing to do. So I wanted to be home with my family. I had a young son and a newborn, my husband.
A real life hero.
Yes.
And so I wanted to be home. And so once a week, I would copy the film onto a computer. I would bring it home, and I would work in the evenings from home. Okay, so you're probably going, how could you copy a whole film on a computer? Things were a lot simpler and smaller back then. It's not like what we got going now. So one day, somebody accidentally deleted the entire film. No. Yeah, so it's like, okay, cool. I was the supervising technical director at the time, and I said, okay, cool, we got backups. And then we found out the backups had been failing for a couple of months and nobody had checked them.
Good grief.
At which point, panic sets in.
Yes.
And then somebody said, don't you have a copy of the film at home? A young man named Oren. And I'm like, you're right, I do. So we drove back to the house, and my lovely husband, Dan, who's somewhere, I couldn't see anybody in this room right
Hey,
now, but
Dan.
he's somewhere in here. He packed the computer in the car with pillows and seat belts. And,
Keep it safe.
Oh, yeah, you bet. I called him, and I'm like, you pack the computer. So we packed it up, and I drove back over the bridge like a little ninny, trying not to get in an accident. And then fortunately, I had a huge stable of wonderful people working on this film, who all got in a room with all the other computers that had bits and pieces that people had been working on, and they took my version of the film, and they found every file that was an update, and over 36 hours straight, fed with coffee and donuts, because we're just so classy in Emeryville, coffee and donuts, we had a film by the end of that. And that
Incredible.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Teamwork.
The most incredible story. Okay.
It will
okay.
never happen again.
Key, can I ask you, you're not only an actor, but you are a singer as well, which is, I mean, just the most amazing talent. And you're also very passionate about your charity work, and you help people through Cool to Be Smart and bullying campaigns and the YWCA, if I got that right. Yeah. So as a high-profile woman, what kind of responsibility do you feel, you know, speaking out for these amazing causes?
You know, I think for me, you know, the way that I was raised, my parents, very community-based people, they always told me that, you know, you're meant to share wherever position you get to in life. You're meant to show and represent so other people can see themselves in those spaces. And so it's just how I was raised. And so as I've continued to grow in this industry, I feel very blessed and grateful to have seen a lot of things very early on. And at a young age, I started in the business when I was 9. And so over the course of time, I've just always wanted to let my peers know that these things were possible for them. You know, just like Gail was talking about all the different opportunities that film can offer you, or the opportunities that you can have by just trying and jumping into something early on. And so I've always just wanted to share that information with my community, with my peers, and with people that maybe don't always know that those opportunities are out there. So it's just in my the way that I was raised, you know.
And when you speak in the film, the character that you play, you have a wonderful voice, but you also carry an authority with you that feels so natural. And I really think that's a huge achievement that you've pulled off. And this audience is going to hear that. I thought it was magical, actually, really.
Thank you. That
magical.
really means so much. Thank you for that amazing compliment.
It's
You deliver
honestly,
a
it's
line in there.
from the heart.
Did you really check me against your cat? I'm just like, that is the most strong, feminist kind of. Oh yeah, I
Thank
love
you
that line.
so
I could just
much.
listen to that on repeat.
My favorite line that Izzy says is, well, the funny line that I love that she says, "Something wrong with your sandwich?" I love that line because that's just like a funny line. And then I love when she says, you know, there's a moment in the film, without giving too much away, where, you know, Buzz, he's wrapped up in validating himself with what his thoughts of achieving things in life are. And him and Izzy's grandmother, Alicia, made a promise that they would become space rangers again. You know, they get marooned and they want to become space rangers again and achieve this big thing. And he feels sad that, you know, Izzy's grandmother she never really will have that opportunity. He's like, I just wanted her to matter. And Izzy turns to him and so nonchalantly, the direction that Angus gave me, it was perfect, I felt, because she just turns to him and says, oh, believe me, she mattered. And I think that's so important because in life, a lot of times we think we need to mean something to the whole world, or we have to do this or that to matter in life. But what Izzy just told to Buzz so casually was, my grandmother meant something to me, my mother's, you know, my family. She was somebody. And I think that's just like, I love that message because we get wrapped up in this life, you know?
I think that's so
Thanks, guys.
It's so true. I hear you are some of the most powerful words in the English language. I hear you. Brilliant, brilliant. Maggie, you're a communicator. You're not just a scientist, you're a communicator. Why do women not follow through with the STEM subjects? Why are they turning away so much, so often?
So I think there's been various research, and it's quite interesting to see, because when I first started going out and doing science communication, I thought, I'll go to girls' schools, because that's where I need to go, and I'll speak to them. And it turns out that girls in girls' schools are much more likely to do science. But to me, it's an unawareness. It's just like filmmaking. People don't know what's involved. And so it's a PR campaign. We need to sell it.
Yes.
STEM is changing the world. I mean, we've seen it through COVID. We've seen it in so many parts of our lives. But people don't realise. We're going to one school. I was speaking to a child and I said, well, if you study physics, you can only be a physics teacher. No! The film industry, medicine, there's so many different careers you can pursue. In fact, I met a girl earlier in the audience who said she's studying physics, and I got very excited. But the thing is, there's just so many opportunities, but we're not selling it correctly. People aren't realising that these opportunities exist. So that's one of the things. And it's about sort of films like Lightyear. So, oh my goodness, so you can use STEM in that way and it can do that. We need to be getting out there, but also showing the relevance of it. I love it that I can say I worked on climate change, I've worked on sort of missile warning systems, I've worked on a whole range of different things through my career. And that's all stems from a sort of a degree in physics. So it's just showing the relevance of it all. But I think the best thing to show is the wonder. And just like Buzz going out there into space. We're detecting planets going around other stars out there. We're looking at sort of the supermassive black holes at the heart of our galaxy. There's fantastic stuff going on out there. So let's get it out there, get people excited about it, so everybody knows that there's a place for them in STEM.
I love what you said, because it really is about marketing campaign. Sometimes, the way you put it, I mean, it's just so true about anything. When we think about things that people end up growing up saying they want to be, like, I want to be a soldier, it's because of marketing.
Yes.
There's so much marketing that went into telling you to want to be in the Army.
Yes.
And I feel the same way that it needs to be that for STEM, and I feel the same way personally about my passion in the film industry, and I love you for pointing that out, because it's true. It's the key.
Okay, we're getting close, guys. Warm up those questions. Okay. So, Galyn, please, something has been spoken about. The first kiss between two women in a Pixar film. This is spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, right? This is an amazing landmark, right? Can you explain how it came about and its significance for you?
Oh, its significance for me. Wow, that's hard. The relationship between Alicia and Kiko is one that's loving and lasting, and it represents a life well lived.
Yes.
And that's what Buzz is missing. That's what Buzz needs to see, because otherwise, how does he know what he's missing unless he witnesses it from his best friend? But more importantly, I don't know that we have enough loving, lasting relationships, the demonstration of love in these films as we could and we should, because isn't love aspirational as well? And lasting relationships are aspirational. You want to keep the people that you love around you for as long as you possibly can. And so that for me is just, I used to joke around, it's like, how many Disney films was Mom dead? Right? It's like
A scary number,
scary
high number.
number.
Mummy was always getting...
Or Daddy, Mufasa, I'll never get over it.
right?
I'll never get over it. Dad, wake up. No, I can't do it.
Terrible. So, but I like that they live a whole life, happily ever after kind of life. And maybe it's not the life that was planned for, but it was the best life in that moment. And I think that's great. I don't see any objections with showing love, right?
I love that, Galyn, absolutely.
Beautiful, really, really beautiful. So I guess following on from that, Keke, I want to ask you, what is the message that you want someone to take away from this inspiring film?
There's so many. I think this is the great thing about Disney Pixar is that they always have 1,000,001 things for you to take on from the film. You know, I think the number one that comes into my mind, because I think it was personal for me and my perspective and my journey, was don't let life pass you by chasing things. And dreams are a great thing to chase, right? But the most expensive thing we have in life is time. And the film demonstrates that so well, metaphorically and literally, which is that you don't want to spend so much time trying to do something for self that you never really reach out and see that there's a whole world around you and there's other people that you can experience life with that also represent achievement, personal achievement, like Galyn was saying, with love and family. And sometimes we don't put enough emphasis on what those personal achievements mean outside of career achievements. And I personally have had a difficulty with that growing up in the industry and putting so much emphasis on career. So immediately when we started, when I started seeing the storyline of the movie come along, I said, wait a minute. This is about not letting life pass you by, because that's personal for me. But then there's other ones like, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because making mistakes is an opportunity for you to have experience and get it right the next time. So when you avoid or don't want to realize that you've made a mistake, you actually are halting your growth, which is a good thing, right? And then leadership. Leadership looks different. It's not always telling everybody what to do and being the big boss. Sometimes it's knowing when to chill and relinquish power to somebody else, to turn to your teammate and say, won't you do it? I think you've got it in you. Encouraging other people. That's also being a leader. Empowering others and seeing something in somebody else that they don't see in themselves. That's what a real leader does, the kind of leader that I want to be in my life. And to stay curious, don't be afraid to just jump out there into something. That's something that's so beautiful about the character Izzy. She's never afraid to try something new. Even when it got scary for her going into space, she still gave it a whirl. And legacy. Finding and discovering your own legacy within your pride in the legacy of your family. That's also something that Izzy discovers. And I relate to that very much. I love my parents, and I love my grandmother and all the people that came before me, but I'm in a new time, in a new era. So what does it mean for me to be a Palmer in my generation? How do I take their legacy and add on to it? So it's tons of messages, and that's just a few that I named, but there are really a lot more.
Wow.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Wow.
You, that is incredible.
I love the movie.
Oh my.
Honestly,
You guys are incredible.
could you name a better ambassador for the female lead? Come on. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So honestly, I have more questions. I really do. But let me turn to the audience, because it's a privilege, I know, for them to be here. And I know there's a lady at the front who is quite extraordinary. She is a brilliant scientist. This is Sue Black. Sue, can we get you a microphone, or let me just pass you mine? Oh, hang on. It's coming. Well done, Holly. Run. Wonderful.
Run.
Thanks very much, Edwina. Hi, what a wonderful panel. What a wonderful evening. Thanks so much for inviting us. I'm a professor of computer science at Durham University, and I've worked for years, like Maggie, to try and get more women into tech, into STEM. But it seems like to me we're kind of going backwards in terms of what happens in schools and careers advice. Yeah. My daughter here hasn't been getting great careers advice at school. And I don't want to diss teachers because they've got a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
But what can we do? What can we do to get girls excited about going into film, into STEM, into tech, into physics? Because it's kind of happening, but it's not fast enough, right? There's, we've been doing this for 20 or 30 years. We're not there yet. How much longer have we got to do? That's not the question. What else can we do to really kind of make a step change? That's my question.
It is tough.
There might be a bit of, as you were saying, a branding issue.
Yes.
I know that I studied computer science in college. Yay! I loved it. And it's in the School of Engineering, and it's not engineering. And I think when I looked at my friends who enjoyed programming and who enjoyed puzzles and enjoy looking at a problem and breaking it down into all its little bits and then reassembling it to solve the whole, that's computer science. Wow. But they said, I'm not an engineer. And so I think there's a lot of things that we do by putting labels that scare away people who might otherwise find it approachable. I don't know how you solve that, but I think it's a part of the problem.
Sorry, Maggie, go.
So I mentioned the sort of the PR problem, but I think it's sort of just getting accessibility. And we sort of talk about role models and people going out there. We need role models not to be just the role models we see. When someone first said I was a role model, I freaked out because I know what I'm really like. I am criminally untidy. I am horribly late for nearly everything. I thought I can't possibly be a role model. But the truth is we're all role models. We all have something to share. Yes. And that's why the female lead is so wonderful. It shows sort of wonderful people being role models, but each and every one of us can get out there and do something about it. We see injustice, we have the power to change it. So we can't just leave it to the few, we all have to get involved, and we have to do it together. And I think that's what makes it powerful. We are still working, but we're still in the silos. I'm over there and you're over there, but we need to come together and have a joint force. At the moment, it feels quite exciting that things may be afoot, things may be changing, but we need to galvanise that and to really make the difference and come together to make the difference. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Shall we leave it on that high, ladies? I mean, amazing. Honestly, I just want to thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, your enthusiasm, and your skills, showing us actually how wonderful and fulfilled a life you're leading. Oh, wow. And that is probably the best anybody ever gets. So thank you so much, Keke.
Thank you.
Galyn, Maggie.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And thank all of you.